The morning started like any other for Admiral Sarah Chen. She sat in her office at Seoul Defense Command, drinking coffee and reading reports from the outer colonies. Earth had 17 worlds now, scattered across nearby star systems. Each one was growing stronger every year. Then the alarms started screaming. "Admiral!" Lieutenant Torres burst through her door. "We have incoming ships, multiple contacts, unknown design." Sarah dropped her coffee mug. It shattered on the floor, but she didn't notice. "How many?" 12 vessels, ma'am. They just appeared at the edge of the system. No jump signatures, no energy trails. They're just there. Sarah ran to the command center. The main screen showed 12 ships hanging in space like silver tears. They were beautiful in a terrifying way. Each one looked alive, with smooth curves and surfaces that seemed to pulse with soft light. "Any response to our hails?" Sarah asked. "Nothing yet, Admiral." "Wait." The communications officer pressed his earpiece. "Signal coming in now." The main screen flickered. An alien face appeared. Sarah had seen aliens before in the outer colonies, but this one was different. Its skin looked like living crystal, blue, and white patterns shifting across its surface. When it spoke, its voice sounded like wind chimes. "I am High Commander Zixtar of the Vex Thara. I speak for the Hegemony Council. We bring greetings to the species called humans." Sarah stepped forward. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen, commanding Seoul Defense. Welcome to our system. How can we help you?" The alien's expression didn't change. Sarah wasn't even sure it could change. "You will listen. You will not speak until we are finished." The screen split. Now Sarah could see all 12 alien representatives. Some looked like the crystal being. Others were different. Floating gas clouds, insect-like creatures, beings made of what looked like living metal. They all stared at her with the same cold look. "Humans of Earth," Zixtar continued. "Your species has spread too far. Too fast. You have claimed 17 worlds without permission. You build weapons when you should build temples. You fight when you should submit." Sarah felt her hands clench into fists. "We've never attacked anyone who didn't attack us first." Silence. The voice came from one of the insect beings. "You were told not to speak." Zixtar raised what might have been a hand. "The Hegemony Council has ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. We keep peace. We keep order. We decide who may spread among the stars." "You do not qualify," said another alien, this one looking like a tree made of silver. "Your species is too young, too violent, too unpredictable. You are a threat to galactic stability." Sarah wanted to argue, but something in their voices stopped her. These weren't just aliens. These were beings who thought they owned the galaxy. "The Council offers you a choice," Zixtar said. "First option, submit to hegemony rule. Abandon all colonies beyond your birth world. Accept protection status under our guidance. Your species will be preserved and cared for. Second option," the insect being clicked, "continue your current path. Face the consequences." Sarah felt ice in her stomach. "What consequences?" "Complete elimination," Zixtar said, as calmly as discussing the weather. "Your species will be removed from the galaxy. Your worlds will be cleansed. Other species will learn from your example." The command center had gone silent. Every person stared at the screen. Sarah could hear her own heartbeat. "You have 72 Earth hours to decide," Zixtar continued. "We will wait at the edge of your system. When time expires, you will broadcast your answer on all frequencies." "And if we choose to fight?" Sarah asked. For the first time, something like emotion crossed the alien's face. It might have been amusement. "Look at your ships, human. Look at ours. Count the worlds under our protection. Count your weapons against ours. Fighting is not an option. Fighting is suicide." The screen went dark. Sarah stood in the silence for a long moment. Around her, officers and technicians waited for orders. Some looked scared, others looked angry. All of them looked to her for answers she didn't have. "Ma'am?" Torres spoke quietly. "What do we do?" Sarah turned to her communications officer. "Get me a secure line to the president, then patch me through to the Joint Chiefs. And—" She paused, thinking about a conversation she'd had 5 years ago. A conversation about a project that officially didn't exist. "Ma'am, get me a connection to Deep Station 7. Use the Black Channel. Tell them it's time for Protocol Prometheus." The communications officer frowned. "Admiral, there is no Deep Station 7 in our records." "Use the Black Channel," Sarah repeated. "They'll know what it means." While her staff worked, Sarah stared at the tactical display. 12 alien ships waited at the edge of the system. They looked small on the screen, but the sensors said each one was the size of a city. Their power readings were off the charts. President. Martinez appeared on a side screen within minutes. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. "Admiral, please tell me this is some kind of joke." "No joke, sir. We have 12 alien vessels demanding our surrender. They're giving us 3 days to abandon all our colonies or face extinction." "Jesus Christ." The president rubbed his face. "What are our options?" "I'm working on that, sir. I need you to authorize Protocol Prometheus." The president went very still. Sarah knew he remembered the briefings, the classified budgets, the questions he wasn't supposed to ask. That project was theoretical, Admiral. A contingency plan. "It was never theoretical, sir. We've been preparing for this day for 30 years. On another screen, General Morrison appeared. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs looked grim but not surprised. "Admiral Chen, I assume you're requesting full activation." "Yes, sir. If they want a fight, we'll give them one they'll never forget." "The alien ships," President Martinez said. "Can we match them?" Sarah thought about the reports she'd read, the simulations she'd watched, the weapons tests that officially never happened. "No, sir. We can't match them." She smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. "We can do better." The president made his decision. "Protocol Prometheus is authorized. Do whatever you need to do, Admiral." The screens went dark. Sarah turned to her staff. Half of them still looked confused, but the other half were already moving. These were the ones who knew, the ones who had been waiting for this day. "Torres, I want a message sent to all colonial governors. Tell them to begin evacuation of non-essential personnel. Make it look panicked and desperate. Ma'am, we want them to think we're scared. Let them believe we're weak and helpless." Sarah walked to the main display and stared at the alien ships. "Contact Deep Station 7. Tell Commander Webb it's time to wake up the Black Armada." Torres' fingers flew over his console. After a moment, he looked up. "Admiral, I'm getting a response from Deep Station 7. Message received and understood. They say the fleet will be ready in 36 hours. Sarah nodded. Around the command center, officers worked with new energy. They all knew what was coming now. "Ma'am," the sensor operator called out. "The alien ships are maintaining position. No movement, no active scans. They're just waiting." "Let them wait," Sarah said. "They think they know everything about humanity. They think we're just another primitive species that will roll over and show our bellies." She looked around the command center. Her people were scared, but they were also angry. Good. Angry humans were dangerous humans. They're about to learn why you never corner a species that evolved from predators. Deep Station 7 floated in the asteroid belt, hidden inside a hollowed-out rock the size of a small moon. To anyone scanning the area, it looked like just another piece of space debris. That was exactly the point. Commander Marcus Webb had been in cryosleep for 6 months when the alarms woke him. The pod opened with a hiss of escaping gas, and he rolled out onto the cold metal floor, coughing and shaking. Around him, other pods were opening. Men and women stumbled out, all of them asking the same question. "Is this a drill?" Webb pulled himself to his feet and grabbed the wall communicator. "Control, this is Webb. What's our status?" "Sir, We received Protocol Prometheus authorization 20 minutes ago. This is not a drill. Admiral Chen sends her compliments and asks how soon we can be ready. Webb felt his heart start racing. After 30 years of preparation, 30 years of training, 30 years of waiting, it was finally happening. Tell. The Admiral will be ready in 36 hours, and patch me through to all ships. Yes, sir. Webb walked through the station's corridors as his crew came alive around him. These people had volunteered for something that might never happen. They had given up normal lives, normal families, normal everything to train for this one moment. The hangar bay doors opened to reveal them. The Black Armada. 57 warships hung in the darkness like sleeping monsters. Each one was painted in matte black that seemed to eat light. No smooth curves here, no elegant lines. These ships looked like what they were, weapons built by a species that understood war. The largest was the Retribution, Webb's flagship. 2 kilometers long and bristling with weapon ports, it looked more like a flying fortress than a spaceship. Next to it hung the other dreadnoughts, Vengeance, Fury, Reckoning, Devastation. Names chosen to send a message. Beautiful, aren't they? Webb turned to see Dr. Sarah Kim, the project's chief designer. She had aged in the 6 months he'd been asleep, but her eyes still held the same fierce pride. How are the weapon systems? Webb asked. Better than when you went under. We finished installing the new kinetic cannons on all ships. Each dreadnought now carries 48 fusion warheads and enough ammunition to level a planet. Webb nodded. The aliens would expect energy weapons, shields, the kind of elegant warfare the galaxy had known for thousands of years. They would not expect humans to simply throw chunks of metal at them fast enough to crack moons. What about the missile systems? Fully loaded. Each ship carries 2,000 smart missiles. They can operate without any radio contact, find their own targets, and detonate with the force of small nuclear weapons. Webb smiled. Let the aliens try to stop 2,000 angry pieces of metal flying at them at 10% of light speed. All crew members report to battle stations. The announcement echoed through the hangar. This is not a drill. Repeat. This is not a drill. Webb walked to his ship. The Retribution's hull was scarred from weapons tests and practice battles. Every mark told a story of preparation, of humans learning to fight a war they hoped would never come. Captain Lisa Park met him at the airlock. She had been his second-in-command for 15 years, training for this day. Ship status? Webb asked. As they walked to the bridge, all systems green, crew at 100% readiness, weapons loaded and ready. We can launch in 12 hours if needed. What about the others? Every ship in the fleet reports ready. The asteroid base crews are asking permission to come with us. Webb shook his head. They stay here. If we fail, there'll be humanity's backup plan. The bridge of the Retribution was nothing like the bridges on regular human ships. No windows, no comfortable chairs, no decorations, just screens, controls, and the tools needed to fight. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, checking systems that had been checked 1,000 times before. Communications, Webb called. Get me Admiral Chen. The main screen flickered to life. Admiral Chen looked tired but determined. Commander Webb, I hope you're ready for this. We've been ready for 30 years, Admiral. Give us the word and we'll show these aliens what humans do to bullies. Chen smiled. What's your tactical assessment? Webb looked at the data streaming across his screens. The alien ships were powerful, no doubt about it, but they were also predictable. They're using standard hegemony formations, ma'am. Energy weapons, plasma shields, the works. They expect us to play by galactic rules. And we're not going to do that. No, ma'am. We're going to hit them with everything we have all at once from directions they don't expect. Human-style warfare. Chen nodded. The alien commander seemed very confident. He thinks 12 ships can handle our entire fleet. He's counting our official fleet, Webb said. Patrol ships, cargo vessels, science ships. He doesn't know about us. How could he? Project Dark Fleet doesn't officially exist. Webb thought about the billions of dollars, the secret asteroid mines, the hidden shipyards. For 30 years, humanity had been preparing for the day when the galaxy's older species would decide humans were a threat. "Tell me about first contact protocols," Chen said. "What protocols? We're going to decloak right in front of them and start shooting. No speeches, no warnings, no last chances. We hit them hard enough that they'll think twice before threatening Earth again." Chen looked worried. "Commander, these are representatives of 12 different species. If we destroy them, then those 12 species will think very carefully before sending more ships to threaten us." Webb's voice was cold. "Admiral, humanity tried to be peaceful. We traded with aliens, made friends, followed their rules, and they still came here demanding our surrender." "I know. I just want to be sure we're making the right choice." Webb looked at his crew. Every face showed the same expression, determination, mixed with cold anger. These people had trained their entire adult lives for this moment. They had given up everything to protect humanity. "Admiral, 30 years ago we detected alien radio signals. Our scientists said it was wonderful. Proof we weren't alone. Our politicians talked about friendship and cooperation. Our military asked a different question." "What question?" "What if they're not friendly? What if they see us as a threat? What if they decide we need to be eliminated?" Chen nodded slowly. And Project Dark Fleet was born. We built these ships in secret. We trained crews in secret. We developed weapons in secret. All so that if this day came, if someone threatened to destroy humanity, we'd be ready. Webb gestured at the ships around him. "Every piece of metal, every weapon, every crew member exists for one purpose, to make sure humanity survives, not as slaves, not as pets, but as equals." "Understood, Commander. You have full authorization to proceed." The screen went dark. Webb turned to his crew. "All ships, this is Webb. Prepare for launch. We go in hard, we go in fast, and we show these aliens that humans don't kneel." Around him, officers worked with quiet efficiency. No one spoke unless necessary. Everyone knew their job. "Sir," his tactical officer reported. "All ships report ready. Weapons charged, systems green, crews at battle stations." Webb sat in his command chair. It was plain metal, uncomfortable, designed for function rather than comfort. Just like everything else on these ships. "Take us out," he ordered. The Retribution moved forward, followed by 56 other ships. They emerged from the asteroid field like ghosts, their black hulls invisible against the darkness of space. Behind them, the hidden bases and shipyards continued their work, ready to build more ships if needed. "Estimated time to engagement?" Webb asked. 18 hours at current speed, sir." Webb smiled. In 18 hours, the galaxy would learn that humanity was done being polite. High Commander Zixtar floated in the bridge of his flagship, watching the primitive planet called Earth. His crystalline body pulsed with soft blue light as he reviewed the tactical data. 12 hegemony vessels against whatever crude ships. The humans might send. It would be over in minutes. "Any response from the humans?" he asked his communications officer. "Multiple transmissions, Commander. They appear to be evacuating their outer colonies. Panic broadcasts, requests for help, the usual primitive responses." Zixtar felt satisfaction ripple through his crystal matrix. This was how it always went. The young species blustered and threatened, then reality set in. Soon they would broadcast their surrender, and another world would join the hegemony's protective embrace. "Sir," his sensor operator called out, "I'm detecting some unusual energy readings from the outer system." "Specify." "Hard to tell, sir. Very faint signatures, almost like thermal emissions. It could be asteroid mining equipment." Zixtar dismissed it with a gesture. Primitive species often had crude mining operations. Nothing that could threaten hegemony vessels. The bridge of the luminous path was a work of art. Living walls pulsed with information streams, while the air itself carried data in the form of scent molecules. Everything was designed for beauty and efficiency, the perfect balance that had kept the hegemony strong for 10,000 years. "Commander," another voice spoke. This was Morden Representative Kreshatar, whose gaseous form floated in a containment field. "Perhaps we should move, closer to the planet. A show of force might encourage faster compliance." Zixtar considered this. Standard procedure was to maintain distance until surrender was confirmed, but these humans seemed unusually slow to understand their situation. "Negative. We maintain position. Fear needs time to grow." Hours passed. Zixtar reviewed the human data files. 17 colonies in 30 years. Impressive for such a young species. They showed remarkable adaptability and drive. Under proper hegemony guidance, they might become useful servants. "Sir!" The sensor operator's voice carried alarm. "Multiple contacts decloaking at bearing 27 Mark IV. Range 50,000 kilometers and closing fast." Zixtar spun toward the tactical display, where empty space had been moments before. Dozens of ships now appeared. But these weren't the sleek vessels common to spacefaring species. These ships looked like black cancer against the stars. "Configuration analysis," Zixtar ordered. "Unknown design, sir. Heavy armor plating, minimal energy signatures. Estimated displacement. Sir, the largest vessels are over 2 kilometers long." Zixtar felt a flicker of uncertainty. That was larger than most hegemony ships, but size meant nothing without proper technology. "Weapons analysis. Scanning. Sir, I'm not detecting standard energy weapon arrays. No plasma conductors, no beam-focusing crystals. These ships appear to be armed with kinetic weapons." Laughter rippled through the bridge. "Kinetic weapons? Throwing rocks at starships? How wonderfully primitive." "Open a channel to the human vessels," Zixtar commanded. The main display showed the bridge of the lead human ship. A male in some kind of uniform stood before the camera. His face was hard, scarred, and completely without fear. "I am High Commander Zixtar of the hegemony vessel Luminous Path. You are in violation of galactic law by approaching a hegemony fleet. Withdraw immediately, or face the consequences." The human stared back without blinking. "I am Commander Marcus Webb of the Earthship Retribution. You are in violation of human space. You have 60 seconds to leave our system." The bridge fell, silent. No one had ever spoken to a hegemony commander like that. Ever. "You dare threaten us?" Zixtar's voice rose. "We are the hegemony. We have ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. 50 seconds, Webb said calmly. "You're pathetic kinetic. Weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Your primitive armor will melt under our plasma beams. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick." 30 seconds! Zixtar felt rage building in his crystal matrix. "You will learn respect, human!" The display went dark. Webb had cut the transmission. "All ships, prepare for combat," Zixtar ordered. "Destroy the human vessels. Leave one intact so we can interrogate survivors." The hegemony ships moved into attack formation. Their shields flickered to life, beautiful domes of energy that could stop any weapon known to galactic science. "Plasma cannons charged with deadly light. Fire at will," Zixtar commanded. 12 streams of superheated plasma lanced toward the human ships. The energy beams struck the black hulls and disappeared. The matte armor didn't reflect the plasma or absorb it. It simply ate the energy, leaving no trace. "What?" Zixtar stared at the display. "Weapons effect? Minimal damage, sir. Their armor appears to be some kind of plasma-absorbing composite." Before Zixtar could respond, the human ships returned. Fire. But they didn't fire energy beams or plasma bolts. They fired chunks of metal. Thousands of them. Massive kinetic rounds launched from magnetic accelerators, traveling at significant fractions of light speed. The first impacts nearly shattered Zixtar's consciousness. The luminous path's shields flared and died as solid metal punched through energy barriers designed to stop plasma. Armor plating cracked. Internal systems failed. "Impossible!" Zixtar screamed. "Kinetic weapons cannot defeat hegemony shields." "Sir, their projectiles are too fast and too dense. Our shields are designed for energy absorption, not kinetic impact." More rounds struck home. The hegemony ship Eternal Wisdom simply vanished in a cloud of debris as a salvo of human shells tore it apart. Another vessel, the Silver Dawn, lost its entire forward section to a single massive projectile. "Return fire, all weapons." The remaining hegemony ships poured plasma into the human fleet, but the black ships kept coming, their armor swallowing, beam after beam without effect. More kinetic rounds slammed into hegemony hulls. Another ship died, then another. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the humans." Webb's face appeared on the screen again. His ship was taking plasma hits, but he looked completely calm. "Hegemony vessels, this is your final warning. Leave our system now or be destroyed. Never." Zixtar shrieked. "We are the hegemony! We do not retreat!" Webb nodded as if he'd expected that answer. "All ships! Fire everything!" The human fleet unleashed hell. Thousands of missiles streaked toward the hegemony ships. Not energy torpedoes or plasma warheads, but simple nuclear fusion bombs guided by basic targeting systems. The primitive weapons came in such numbers that point defense systems couldn't stop them all. The explosions lit up space like new stars. Hegemony ships staggered under the assault. The beautiful, elegant vessels that had intimidated species across the galaxy were being torn apart by crude human weapons. "Retreat!" Zixtar finally screamed. "All ships, emergency jump!" Of the 12 ships that had arrived to accept humanity's surrender, only 4 limped away into hyperspace. The others floated as debris, their crews dead or dying. Zixtar's ship barely made the jump. Half his systems were offline, his hull breached in dozens of places. Around him, bridge officers worked frantically to keep life support functioning. "How?" he whispered. "How did primitives defeat us?" His tactical officer, one arm hanging useless, looked up from his station. "Sir, their weapons weren't advanced. They were just different. They used kinetic force instead of energy, mass instead of technology. Our shields, our armor, our entire defensive philosophy was built around energy weapons." Zixtar felt something he had never experienced in 10,000 years of hegemony service. Fear. "And, sir," the officer continued, "our long-range sensors detected more ships, many more. Those humans we fought, that wasn't their full fleet." On the display, Earth hung peaceful and blue in the darkness, but Zixtar now knew the truth. Humanity hadn't surrendered because they couldn't. They had refused because they wouldn't. "Set course for Hegemony Council Station," he ordered. "Emergency priority. The Council must know what we've discovered." "What have we discovered, sir?" Zixtar looked at the tactical display one more time. Where hegemony ships had died, human vessels now patrolled. The black ships had dispersed throughout the system, establishing defensive positions that said one thing clearly: this space belonged to humanity now. "We've discovered," Zixtar said slowly, "that we are no longer the deadliest species in the galaxy." The Hegemony Council chamber had not seen such chaos in 5,000 years. Representatives of 12 species argued, shouted, and in some cases physically fought as emergency sessions stretched into their 3rd day. The massive chamber, built to inspire awe and demonstrate unity, now echoed with panic. High Counselor Morden of the gas giant dwellers floated at the center podium, his containment field flickering with agitation. "Order! We must have order!" But order was the last thing anyone wanted to discuss. Zixtar's report had shattered everything the hegemony believed about galactic warfare. 8 ships destroyed. The insect-like representative Clicktar's mandibles clacked furiously. 8 hegemony vessels defeated by primitive kinetic weapons. This is impossible. The impossible has become reality, rumbled the stone-like Tauran delegate. These humans fight unlike any species we have encountered. Across the chamber, holographic displays showed the wreckage in the Sol system. The images were grainy and incomplete. Human ships had destroyed most of the sensor buoys, but they told a clear story. Sophisticated hegemony vessels reduced to scrap metal by crude human weapons. We underestimated them, admitted Elder Sektar of the ancient Ethkar. Her tree-like form swayed as she spoke. For 10,000 years we have fought species that learned warfare from us. The humans learned from themselves. What do you mean? Morden asked. They evolved as predators on a violent world. They developed warfare independently without our influence. Their methods are alien to us. A younger counselor, Vexen of the crystal beings, pulsed with angry light. Then we crush them. Send the full battle fleets. Show them the true power of the hegemony. Elder Sektar's branches rustled. With what? The humans didn't wait for us to respond. They struck first. The main display shifted to show reports flooding in from across hegemony space. Red markers indicated worlds under attack, trade routes severed, outposts destroyed. In just 72 hours, human forces had appeared in a dozen systems. How? Morden demanded. How did they move so many ships so quickly? Intelligence Officer Kixtal materialized at the center podium. The energy, being's form crackled with data streams. Analysis suggests the humans have been preparing for this conflict for decades. Hidden shipyards, secret training facilities, weapons research conducted in complete isolation. They planned for war with us before we even knew they existed. Kliktar clicked in disbelief. Their psychological profile indicates extreme paranoia coupled with aggressive territorial instincts, Kixtal continued. They assumed hostile contact was inevitable. On the display, new reports appeared. A hegemony listening post in the Kepler system had gone silent. 3 cargo convoys had been destroyed between Vega and Altair. A minor hegemony world had been bombarded until its defenders surrendered. This is not conventional warfare, observed Counselor Naith of the energy entities. They target infrastructure, supply lines, civilian populations. They wage total war. Total war? Mordune's gaseous. Form shifted colors. Explain. A concept from their own history. When humans fight, they don't just target military forces. They attack everything that supports their enemy: production, communications, morale. They fight to completely destroy their opponent's ability. To resist. The chamber fell silent. Hegemony warfare was civilized, controlled. Battles between military forces with clear rules and limited objectives. This was something else entirely. Look at this. Kixtal projected new images. A human strike force attacked the Rigel mining complex. But they didn't just destroy the military escorts. They targeted the refineries, the storage facilities, the orbital platforms. The entire system's economic output has been eliminated. Barbaric, whispered Vexen. Effective, Elder Sektar corrected. They understand that war is not a game between militaries. It is a contest between entire civilizations. More reports flowed in. The humans were everywhere, striking from directions that shouldn't have been possible. Their black ships appeared, delivered devastating attacks, then vanished before hegemony forces could respond. How are they moving so quickly? Demanded Kliktar. Our sensors show no jump signatures, no hyperspace distortions. They use different technology, Kixtal replied. Crude but functional faster-than-light drives that leave minimal signatures. Combined with their stealth capabilities, they can appear anywhere without warning. Counselor Tor-An's rocky form ground against itself. What about our defenses? Surely our fortress worlds can stop them. The display shifted to show the Centauri defense platform, a massive hegemony military installation, or what was left of it. The once mighty fortress was now a cloud of expanding debris. They used nuclear weapons, Kixtal reported. Hundreds of them. Crude fusion warheads delivered by their missile systems. The platform's shields were designed to stop energy weapons. Not sustained nuclear bombardment. Nuclear weapons are banned under galactic law. Vexen pulsed indignantly. The humans never signed the Galactic Accords, Elder Sectar pointed out. They follow their own laws. Morden floated higher, trying to restore order as arguments broke out across the chamber. What of our allies? Surely the subject species will support us against this threat. The answer came from an unexpected source. The communication system activated, showing the face of Ambassador Telek of the Andromedan Confederation. The Andromedans had been neutral for centuries, but they controlled strategic systems along the galactic rim. Hegemony Council, Telek, spoke formally. The Confederation has voted to remain neutral in your conflict with humanity. We will not permit hegemony fleets to cross our territory. What? Morden's form flared with shock. You cannot be serious. We have reviewed the human proposals. They offer trade agreements and mutual defense pacts to all species willing to remain neutral. Their terms are generous. The transmission ended. Across the chamber, counselors stared at each other in disbelief. Their subjects were abandoning them. Sir, Kixtal spoke quietly. We're receiving similar messages from the Proxima Trade Union, the Outer Rim Colonies, and the Tau Ceti Alliance, all declaring neutrality. They smell weakness, Elder Sectar observed. For the first time in 10,000 years, the hegemony appears vulnerable. New tactical data flowed across the displays. Human forces had seized control of the Kepler-Vega shipping lane. 3 hegemony core worlds were under blockade. The magnificent fleet that had enforced galactic peace for millennia was being systematically destroyed. We need a new strategy, Mordoon announced. Full mobilization, every ship, every weapon, every ally we can muster. Against what? Kliktar's mandibles twitched nervously. How do we fight an enemy that doesn't follow the rules? They don't hold territory, they strike and vanish. They don't fight battles, they destroy everything and leave. We adapt, rumbled Toran. We learn their methods. In time, perhaps, Elder Sectar said. But do we have time? Look at the casualty reports. Look at the economic damage. The humans are winning because they understand something we forgot. Which is? War is not about honor or glory or following rules. War is about making your enemy stop fighting, by any means necessary. The chamber doors opened. A messenger rushed in, broadcasting urgent data. The main display lit up with new information that made every counselor freeze. What is it? Morden demanded. Sir, the messenger trembled. Long-range sensors have detected a massive human fleet moving toward Hegemony Prime. Over 200 ships. Estimated arrival in 6 days. The most secure, most defended world in the galaxy. The seat of hegemony power for 10,000 years. And humanity was bringing an armada to their doorstep. How many ships do we have in the home system? Vexen asked. 47 combat vessels, sir. The rest of the fleet is scattered across the galaxy, trying to respond to human attacks. Elder Sectar's ancient voice carried across the chamber. They planned this perfectly. Scattered our forces with raids, then struck at our heart when we were weakest. Morden's gaseous form seemed to deflate. How do we stop them? Perhaps, Elder Sectar said slowly, we should ask a different question. Which is, do we want to stop them? Or do we want to survive? The chamber fell silent again. For the first time in their recorded history, the Hegemony Council was contemplating something that had never been possible before: surrender. The Nexus had been the center of galactic civilization for 10,000 years. The massive space station orbited the hegemony's capital world like an artificial moon, its crystalline spires reaching out into space like the arms of some cosmic deity. It had never been threatened, never been attacked, never even been approached by hostile forces, until today. Commander Marcus Webb stood on the bridge of the Retribution as his fleet took position around the station. 200 black ships formed, a perfect sphere around the Nexus, their weapons trained on the most important structure in known space. The message was clear: surrender or be destroyed. Still no response from the Council. Webb asked. "Nothing, sir," reported his communications officer. "They're scanning us constantly, but no transmissions." Webb nodded. He could imagine the panic inside the station. The hegemony had never faced anything like this. Their entire philosophy was built around superiority, control, the certainty that they were the strongest force in the galaxy. "Sir," his tactical officer called out, "detecting movement from the hegemony fleet. 47 ships taking defensive positions around the station." Webb looked at the display. 47 ships against 200. The hegemony commanders had to know they couldn't win, but they were still preparing to fight. "Admirable," Webb muttered. "Stupid, but admirable." "Orders, sir?" Webb considered his options. He could destroy the station and the fleet in minutes. The Nexus had no military shields, no heavy weapons. It was a symbol of power, not a fortress. But destroying it would make the hegemony desperate, and desperate enemies did unpredictable things. "Open a channel to the station. All frequencies." The main screen flickered to life, showing the hegemony council chamber. Webb had seen pictures before, but the reality was impressive. Representatives of 12 species arranged in a vast circular hall, each one radiating authority and ancient power. "I am Commander Marcus Webb of the Earth Fleet," he announced. "I wish to speak with whoever leads this council." A gaseous being floated forward. "I am High Counselor Mordun. You are in violation of hegemony space, human. Withdraw immediately." Webb smiled. Even now, facing overwhelming odds, they were still giving orders. "High Counselor, your fleets have been scattered, your outposts destroyed, your allies have abandoned you. You have one choice remaining. We do not negotiate with terrorists." The voice came from one of the crystal beings. Webb's expression hardened. "Terrorist? You came to my world and demanded our surrender. You threatened to exterminate my species if we didn't obey. Who exactly is the terrorist here?" Elder Sectar of the tree-like Ethkar swayed forward. "What do you want, human?" "Simple. An end to this war on terms that ensure my people's survival." "Speak your terms," Mordun said reluctantly. Webb activated a data stream. Words appeared on screens throughout the chamber, translated into dozens of languages. First, the hegemony formally recognizes human sovereignty over all systems currently claimed by Earth. No interference, no tribute, no oversight. Angry voices erupted across the chamber. Webb waited for quiet. Second, all hegemony military forces withdraw from human space and maintain a minimum distance of 50 light-years from our borders. "Impossible!" screeched the insect-like Clicktar. "Those systems contain strategic resources." Third, the hegemony will pay reparations for the unprovoked attack on our home system, equivalent to the economic output of 3 core worlds for 10 years. The chamber exploded in outrage. Several representatives began shouting at once. Webb let them vent before continuing. Fourth, a new galactic accord will be established, with humanity as an equal partner. All future territorial disputes will be negotiated, not decided by force. Ridiculous! Vexen's crystal form pulsed with fury. The hegemony has maintained galactic peace for 10 millennia. Your kind of peace, Webb replied coldly. Peace through submission. Peace through fear. That ends now. Elder Sectar's ancient voice cut through the noise. And if we refuse these terms? Webb gestured to the display showing the human fleet surrounding them. Then we finish what you started. Your stations burn, your worlds fall, and humanity takes its place as the new galactic authority. The choice is yours. Mordun floated higher, his gaseous form shifting colors rapidly. You cannot govern the galaxy. You are one species among thousands. We don't want to govern the galaxy, Webb said. We want to be left alone to govern ourselves. But if you force us to choose between your survival and ours, that choice is already made. The chamber fell silent. For long minutes, the council members conferred among themselves in whispers and electronic bursts. Webb waited patiently, knowing they were realizing what he had already understood. The age of hegemony dominance was over. Finally, Elder Sectar spoke. You offer an alternative to total war? I offer coexistence. Humanity claims what we already hold. You keep what you can still defend. Everyone else gets to choose their own path without ancient empires making decisions for them. The minor species will never accept human authority, Clicktar protested. They don't have to. That's the point. No one species rules the galaxy anymore. Webb activated another display. These are the preliminary agreements we've reached with the Andromedan Confederation, the Proxima Trade Union, and 17 other independent systems, mutual defense pacts, trade agreements, technology exchanges, all voluntary, all equal. The Council stared at the documents. Webb could see them processing the implications. Humanity wasn't trying to replace the hegemonies. Empire. They were dismantling the entire concept of galactic empire. You're destroying everything we built, Morden whispered. We're replacing it with something better. Something where species like yours can't threaten species like mine with extinction just because you've been around longer. Elder Sectar swayed, thoughtfully. How do we know you won't become the new threat? How do we know humanity won't seek dominance once you grow stronger? Webb considered the question seriously. You don't. But ask yourself this, which is more dangerous? A species that wants to be left alone, or a species that thinks it has the right to rule everyone else? The debate that followed lasted 6 hours. Webb waited aboard the Retribution as the Hegemony Council argued, threatened, pleaded, and finally accepted reality. When the transmission resumed, Elder Sectar spoke for the Council. We accept your terms, but understand this, human. You have broken something that took 10,000 years to build. The galaxy will be less stable without hegemony authority. Maybe, Webb agreed, but it will also be more free. The formal signing took place aboard the Nexus itself. Webb walked through corridors that had hosted the galaxy's elite for millennia, past alien artworks and architectural wonders that had no human equivalents. It was beautiful, he admitted, but beauty built on submission was still a prison. The ceremony was brief. Documents were signed, data was exchanged, and the hegemony's 10,000-year reign officially ended. As Webb prepared to leave, Elder Sectar approached him. A question, if I may? Go ahead. Your preparations, the hidden fleets, the secret weapons. How long did you plan for this war? Webb smiled. From the moment we detected your first radio transmission, my species learned long ago that if you want peace, you prepare for war. And if the hegemony had never threatened Earth, then the Black Armada would have remained hidden forever. We don't want to fight, Elder. We just want to survive. As Webb's shuttle departed the Nexus, he looked back at the ancient station. It was still beautiful, still impressive, but it no longer radiated absolute authority. For the first time in 10,000 years, the galaxy had multiple centers of power. His communication system activated. Admiral Chen's face appeared on the screen. Commander, how did the negotiations go? Better than expected, Admiral. The hegemony has agreed to our terms. Humanity officially joins the galactic community as an equal partner. Chen smiled. And if they change their minds? Webb looked at the fleet surrounding him. 200 black ships, with hundreds more being built in hidden shipyards across human space. The hegemony would remember this day for a very long time. They won't, Admiral. They've learned what every schoolyard bully eventually learns. Which is? Eventually, you pick on someone who hits back. The human fleet began to disperse, returning to patrol duties and defensive positions. Behind them, the Nexus continued its orbit, now the center of a very different galaxy, one where ancient empires could no longer dictate terms to younger species, one where humanity had made it clear that Earth would never kneel. Years later, alien younglings across the galaxy would learn a new phrase that had entered common usage. When faced with impossible odds, when threatened by superior forces, when told to surrender or die, they would remember the humans of Earth and whisper, "Do not wake the sleeping Terrans."